Hello, everybody. Sandra, everybody else. Good to be here tonight. Um, for those I don't see, hello, everybody. Good to be here. I missed you guys last week. Um, this is going to be my last one for this year. We're going to take the holiday break and enjoy family and friends, uh, and we're going to be back strong for the new year. Um, but tonight, I just want to share a quick thing with you tonight before we go into our new year. And it's not gonna be long at all. I said it all. I've been saying it ever since I've been doing this, but I'm gonna try again to be short. Um, but I want to encourage you guys tonight. We've been in some very difficult moments and times these last couple of years, especially. We don't know when COVID's gonna end. People are still dying. Things are still happening besides COVID. Sometimes the things that's going on um, are being minimized simply because COVID has taken over the headlines. But in retrospect, there's just a lot going on, and people are really suffering and going through things. What's up, Sylvester? Um, and it's just been tough for people, and I try to not focus just on myself, but think about the things that other people are going through, and have empathy and sympathy or whatever it is I can do. Um, it's tough. Sometimes you can't. There's nothing you can do about things, but it's how we respond to life. And you know, it's just it is what it is. Things, God never promised us that everything will be hunky dory, that we wouldn't have storms and things that come in our life. God was always about how we respond to things in our life, and that's what the true test uh, of who we are is, how we respond. Uh, and for us to think that everything's going to go well just because we may have done it right this time, we're really deceiving ourselves, and it doesn't matter. You can do it right, you can do it wrong. Storms are going to come. And God warns us of that throughout the Bible, that bad and difficult times are going to come. And that's why He prepared us. That's why He put in us what He put in us in order to endure those moments. And there's a song called "It's Necessary." And I think a lot of these storms we cause ourselves because of our decisions and how we live our lives. We have to be honest with ourselves, but oftentimes, you know, these storms and not tragedies, but these even God does take tragedy and He brings good out of it, but God never plans to destroy or kill and all the things that's happening, because He said the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I've come that you may have life, and so that destroys uh, uh, any plan that God has to destroy anything. So when we attach God's name to destruction and doom and gloom, that's not biblical, because God said, I only come to give life and I come to give it more abundantly. Now, He didn't promise us, like I say, great times every moment of our life. He said the storms are going to come, uh, but He told us that the outlast it. He told us that it won't last always. And we got to believe Him when He says that and understand that He'll never leave us nor forsake us. So, um, just want to encourage you guys with a passage of scriptures you guys already know. Um, I'm gonna put it up and then we'll get into it real quickly. Um, that's in Mark 4, starting at verse 35. This story is in all the Gospels, but I'm gonna use the one in Mark. Um, and it starts off saying, on the same day when evening had come, He said to them, "Let us cross over to the other side." Um, we said it all the time. God's ready for us to cross to the other side. But there is a moment, a time in your life where God's ready to cross over to something new, to a place you've never been before, to systems that you never operated in before, mentalities you never operated in before. But there's a price to go to the other side. And um, even in basketball, once you cross half court, you don't supposed to go back to the other side. Otherwise you turn the ball over. And a lot of times we give up or we try to turn around in mid as we going through the process of life. And we wonder why the enemy has the upper hand because we continue to turn the ball over to him. We give him the upper hand every time we want to give up, every time we allow distractions and allow him to cause us to backtrack and allow our minds to get off focus of what God did in the beginning. And we all do it. And I feel like during this holiday season, take this time to reboot your mind, reboot your spirit, and refocus on what things are important and where you were when you were in a good place. And sometimes when you lose focus and you lose where you are, you have to go back to the place and backtrack and say, what was the last time when I was in a good place, when I was doing the right thing, when I was responding to life like I should. Let me go back to what I was doing. And oftentimes God will allow you that second chance, that third chance, and that 100. I don't know about you, but I've had 100 chances in life, and I thank God for His grace and His mercy, or I would have been finished a long time ago. But in the Bible says, on verse 35, on the same day when evening had come, He said to them, "Let us cross over to the other side." So there's a moment in life where God says it's time for you to cross over. It doesn't mean every day that you have, some people, if they don't get victory today, they're discouraged, like as if they deserve victory every day of their lives. We live in victory, but every day is not going to be always filled with a win. But we got to still keep showing up for the game. We got to still keep staying on the court, regardless if we get the victory or we get a loss. We show up and we continue to show up and play our hearts out, despite of the score, despite of the odds that may be against us. We gotta do that thing because God's looking for some people that can endure in this season. And that's what, before New Edition wrote the song, Can You Stand the Rain? And that's what I was thinking about when I did this. I'm going to name this Bible study or whatever we call it. I'm going to name this Can You Stand the Rain? Because what they were looking for in this song, they were looking for simply a woman that was going to stand the rain. He said, sunny days, everybody loves them. But can you stand the rain? And so God's saying, to us, He's looking for people. And the Bible speaks of us as the bride of Christ. God's looking for people that can stand the rain, not people that are gonna settle for a hunky dory religion or Christianity, but for some people that really want to walk this thing and live it with God. And sometimes we gotta admit we're not willing to pay the price for some of the things that God has and what He wants us to be. And so we have to make a decision. It comes a point where He says we got to cross the other side of our insecurities, cross the other side of our insufficiencies, cross the other side of our negative mentalities, cross the other side of our low self-esteem, cross the other side of whatever's holding us back and say, let us cross over. And He says, now when we had left the multitude, they took Him along in the boat as He was. And so you got to understand that in the midst of to cross the other side, sometimes you got to leave the multitude. And so when God calls you to a new place and say it's time to go to the other side, you can't be foolish enough to think that everybody can go across to the other side with you. Your cousin Pookie can't cross over to the other side with you. Your own mama, your daddy can't cross over to the other side. That don't mean throw people away. That doesn't mean like, oh, I'm not gonna be around you no more. Sometimes we go to the extreme, but whatever it takes, that we won't allow other people to hinder our lives to be a stumbling block for us. We have to make tough decisions because sometimes you gotta leave the multitude, and most of the time, in my experience in life, I would say almost 99% of the time, when you get ready to cross the other side of your life, it's always going to be a period of loneliness, a period where nobody understands you, and it's just you and God, and you gotta trust God that He's with you. And I'm talking about people, and doesn't mean the people that don't understand you don't love you. Oftentimes, I'm not talking about enemies or people that you need to cut your ties with. I'm talking about people that actually are called to your life. They won't even understand you because crossing over to the other side causes a season of loneliness, a season of isolation, a season. And a lot of times you can understand or see and predict what God is doing when He starts isolating you and you feel like you're all by yourself. Sometimes that's the enemy that wants you to think you're by yourself. He's trying to corner you and make you depressed and make you feel like you're the only one. But oftentimes that isolation is a thing that God is doing something special. He has pulled you to the side. It's almost like a coach pulling the player to the side and telling him something heart to heart and taking the time. It's those conversations that you, not that you have in a huddle, but it's those conversations that you have on the side that makes the big difference in your life oftentimes. And so what God does, he'll pull you to the side, he'll isolate you, he'll speak things to you that nobody else can hear. He'll have conversations with you that nobody else knows about. He'll take you into places that nobody else knows about. And those times can be very lonely moments. Those moments can be very moments of where you don't understand. And sometimes you be like, it's not fair. God, why? Why I got to be so hard for me? Why I got to be so tough for me? Why you expect so much from me? Why do I got to go this path? So and so had it easy. This happened, and we just complain and we just complain, and and it's easy to do. I'm definitely not pointing the finger at anybody because, I'm pointing the finger right at myself because I go through it just like you go through it. These days, living for God is not always convenient. These days, living for God, you simply get tired of trying to live this Christian life. You get tired of trying to do the right thing. You get tired of making the same mistakes over and over again. You get tired of trying to live up to God's expectations and people expectations. You just be like, man, God, I'm tired. But God said, don't be weary in due season. Don't get weary in well doing, but in due season he shall reap. And so God wants some people that can stand the rain. Sunny days, like you say, it's easy to find people to attach themselves to your life when when it's a sunny day. It's easy to go get somebody to go outside and hang out under the tree or out in the field when it's a sunny day. But when it's raining, when it's stormy, who's gonna go out there and get wet with you? Who's gonna go out there and face the mud and the winds and the waves with you? And so you know you got to be willing to just let sometimes it's gonna be just you and God. Stop getting mad at people because they're not there for you like you want them to be there. That's because they didn't have words of encouragement for you when you felt they should have understood. Stop expecting that from people because oftentimes God is putting you in a place of isolation, in a place where other people are not going to hear what you hear. Other people are not going to see what you see. Other people are not going to be concerned about what you're concerned about. Other people are not going to be going after what you're going after, and it's okay. But understand that you have to sometimes leave the multitude in order to get to the other side. You got to leave the multitude. You can't try to stick with the same people that's okay with being where they are. You can't stick over with people that don't value you. You can't stick with people that don't try to understand you. I'm not saying they're gonna always understand you, but at least try to understand you. People that are gonna prove their loyalty to you in an authentic way, not just to fool you and make you think they're on your side. But then, it's some people that will walk with you and act like they're on your team and wear the same jersey, but in difficult times they'll demand a trade. They'll demand a trade and say, I want to go to a new situation, and they'll jump ships. And I'm not saying players that want to trade. Sometimes a trade is a good idea. And in this season, you got to know sometimes just as much as you pursuing life and going after things and doing what God says, sometimes there's a power in letting go. And so you got to decide what season you're in. Sometimes it's both at the same time. Some things you need to let go and some things you need to grab a hold to. And so sometimes we're so stubborn and we have such egos that sometimes God is saying, let go, and we hold on. And some of y'all been holding on to stuff for too long. Some of y'all been doing things the same way too long. I know about that because I'm an open person. I'm a person that doesn't always have to be comfortable, but we all like stability. We all like things to go a certain way. We like feeling like, oh, we're okay, that we're standing on solid ground. But God sometimes say you got to learn how to walk on quicksand and understand that I'm not gonna let you sink. I'm not gonna let it overwhelm you and overtake you. But I'm gonna make you stronger in this season. I'm gonna teach you how to walk on water in this season. And so he says, now when they had left the multitude, they took along with him in a boat that he was, and with other little boats were also with him. And so sometimes you can tell people, okay, this is important. Listen to me if you don't listen to nothing else I say tonight. It's important. You can't tell people what they can do and they can't do because they're grown people. But you can tell people you can't ride on my boat. So sometimes there's little boats around you, people trying to go the same path. So what I'm trying to say is you gotta make sure that you monitor your circles, that the people that you allow in your life, you understand their role, and you understand how far you need to let them in. Some people need to ride on your boat. They can go on the same road, travel the same path, but they need to get on their boat. And we like we go in the same place, but we don't need to be that close. And so you gotta be who I feel. You gotta understand who you need to allow very close to you, and who you need to love from a distance, who you need to minimize your relationship with. It's some people you can't be around every day or every week. It's some people, God said, man, I don't want you to disconnect yourself from them. I don't want you to throw them away. I don't want you to cut your relationship off with them, because you can be a blessing in their life, and they can be a blessing in your life at times, but they're not called to be on the same boat. And so sometimes you feel like because people are kind of traveling in the same direction, that y'all can just all get in the same car and go, or get on the same boat and go. Sometimes God's like, no, this person, no, they can't be on the boat with you. They're not ready for that. They can't. And see, what happens if you allow them too close to you, they'll see things that'll cause them to devalue you. They'll see things that they'll look at it the wrong way. They're not ready to see you in this set of circumstances, because they'll comprehend it wrong. They'll comprehend your actions wrong. They'll comprehend your words wrong. And so you got to monitor your circle and understand everyone is not called to be on your boat. Everybody's not called to go where you're going. And that comes over time where people prove their loyalty. People are not perfect, but there's some people that they able, no matter come high winds, come the rain, they might not do everything right, but they gonna be there and they gonna go out with you. And I'm not talking about, it's bigger than a ride and die type thing. It's a thing that people say, I want what's best for you, and I'm willing to go through what you go through to get to what we got to get to. I'm willing to fight what you got to fight. I'm willing to, even though sometimes I don't feel like I got the resources and the ammunition to fight against it. But we got to monitor who's on our boat and in our circle, because everyone's not called to be on your boat. And I know it's some people that you got to put off your boat, that um, you gotta take some people off your boat that you love. When I began to live for God, there was people that was good to me, that I drank with, that I was somewhat on the street with, that people that weren't Christian people, but they were good people. But they had to, and be honest with you, I didn't have to put people off my boat. When I changed my mentality and changed the direction and trajectory of my life, people didn't want to go with me. They wanted to get off the boat. They'll hit the button and be like, let me off. It's like an elevator. If you're on the elevator, everybody's going to different floors, and everybody comes on, and what do? They push the button on the floor they want to go to. And so when people get on your boat, or get on your boat or your elevator, or whatever it is, you got to recognize some people. Everybody that is not going to go to your final destination. Some people are going to get off on the way, and you got to be okay with that. And you can't criticize people because they got off. You can't criticize people because they don't think like you think all the time. You can't criticize people because they don't care about what you care about. And so, but you got to have some people with you, because you're going to a place where you can't afford for somebody to demand a trade. You can't get to the place where you get somewhere you feel like, oh, they're going to retreat when it gets difficult. That they're going to give up on you when it's difficult. That they're going to give up on you when you're not popular, or when you're not successful. That they're going to be there in your successes. They're going to be there in your failures. And those are the kind of people you want in your life in this season. If you want to maximize your life, you got to be around people like that in your life. And so it's so important, people. It's so important. It's so important. And so let's go. So he says, and there were little boats with him, and a great windstorm arose. So you got to understand that storms are going to come. This is inevitable. I'm not talking about, excuse me, when the storm comes and you're shocked. You got to wake up in the morning, understand that storms may come. Even sometimes when the forecast says it's going to be sunny skies, the storm still can come. How many times you woke up and they told you it's going to be sunny skies and a beautiful day, and you walked outside and it was pouring down raining? So life will throw you some things that sometimes you don't know what you're going to get, but you got to be willing to. If it rains, you got to be able to stand the rain. If it's sunshine, you got to be able to enjoy the sunshine. You got to appreciate the sunshine. And you got to understand that when it does rain, it's not going to last forever. And the waves beat into the boat. So life will come to beat you up. But a lot of times, a fighter, But he fights and he spars before he gets in the actual ring and actually with the main fight. A fighter never just goes into a title fight or go into a big fight at the Grand Casino or a big fight without sparring with other fighters. So there's going to be God's going to always send you small battles and fights to prepare you for the big fight. And you got to understand sometimes, what is your fight? What are you really fighting? What is the root cause of all of your fights? And sometimes, because you got to understand that, and you'll understand why you got the little fights. You'll understand why this came, because it's preparing you. You got to understand what your big enemy is or your big fight is, and then you'll understand why you're having all the small fights, why you're having all the distractions, why you're having all these things that's happening. You know, why your kids all of a sudden acting a fool, why your money is funny all of a sudden, why this is happening, why that is happening, and it'll explain it, because the devil knows that you're going to the other side. And what he wants you to do is give up before you get to the other side. What he wants you to do is complain about being in isolation, being put to the side. And you got to understand, even when you're in prison, they put you in isolation sometimes to protect you. Y'all need to hear me on that one. God will put you in isolation not to make you lonely, not to pick on you, not to make you feel bad, but he'll put you in isolation to protect you from yourself, so they can watch you. Sometimes they put you on suicide watch. You know, all these different things. They put you in isolation, put you somewhere by yourself, because they don't want the population of the prison to harm you, because you're at risk. Yeah, so it's right. Says it's a mind thing. We have to guard our mind in order to stay focused on God's purpose for our life. That's good. You know, you have to guard your mind. That's so important. I'm glad you mentioned that, sis, because if you don't guard your mind, so a man thinketh, so is he. And if you allow your mind to be infiltrated with foolishness and the things of around you, oh man, it's gonna mess you up. I don't care how positive you are. If you hear enough negativity, it eventually will take over your thinking process. And that's why you gotta guard your mind. You gotta guard who gets on your boat and gets off your boat. And you got to make sure you can trust those people. Those people that's on the boat gonna mess up some stuff. Those people that's on your team is gonna miss the pass. They're gonna miss the free throw. They're gonna mess up on the play. But you got to know that they're with you, and that's the best thing, to know that they're with you. It doesn't mean that they're gonna be perfect. It doesn't mean they can always understand you, but that you got to know that they're with you. And so we gotta do that in this season of our life, because God's taking us to the other side. And it's not just because it's a new year. It's because it's that time in your life. And so you got to remember, God will put you in isolation to protect you. You're not lonely right now because God don't care about you. You're not lonely right now because God has forgotten you. You're lonely right now sometimes because God is protecting you. Because God sometimes don't want you around all the chatter. God doesn't want you around all the chaos and the confusion. He wants you in a place of peace. He wants you in a place where you can think and be diligent and sober minded. And sometimes you can't do that around all the chaos and all the foolishness. And I know you want to be socially. I love people. But sometimes God has to pull you away from the multitude to take you to the other side. Hallelujah. We almost done. So those winds came. They were beating the boat. So the boat was full of water, meaning they were deep into chaos. It wasn't chaos around them. This wasn't like the water were and the waves were on the outside of the boat. The storm had made it on the boat. That means hell is not approaching, trouble is not approaching. Trouble is there, right there in your life. You may have lost loved ones in this season. You may have had sickness attack your body in this season. Your mind may be in a certain lowest place it's ever been. You know, you might be in a bad state spiritually right now. You might be in a lot of situations that's going on, and it's filled up your boat, and it seems like the water is right at the top of your head, and you're underwater, and you're not gonna make it, and you feel like you're gasping for life, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, or all three. You might just feel like, oh man, but this is not the time to give up, because God said, let's go to the other side. That means he's gonna take you to the other side. God doesn't like tell you he's gonna take you somewhere and not take you. God never promises us nothing that he won't fulfill. God is able to do what he promises us. He's God. His promises are yes and amen. I mean, he's never going to say, I'm going to do this and not do it. And so, but you will go through seasons of isolation. You will go through seasons where you feel like you're alone. Loneliness is a great cue sometimes of God is doing something special and unique in your life. So don't complain about those seasons. Embrace those seasons and hear God's voice like never before. And so it says, but it was a stern steep, but he was in the stern asleep on a pillow. This is Jesus. Jesus was on the boat. That's the big thing. You got to understand that Jesus is on the boat. As long as Jesus is on the boat, I don't care what storm comes, you okay. And, I say this almost every week. I'd rather go through hell with Jesus than to be on the mountaintop with the devil. And sometimes the devil will stand beside you on the mountaintop and lift your hand up in victory. And then he'll let your hand go and push you off the mountain and let everybody watch you fall. And so you got to understand that the devil will allow you to get some temporary victory because he's trying to get you high up and lifted up to a point where you get arrogant, where you get comfortable, and then he can just push you off the cliff. And the higher you are, and as you fall, the more people are going to notice. The more people are going to recognize you screwed up. And that's what the devil wants. He wants to embarrass you. He wants to humiliate you. He wants to annihilate you and make you look bad before men and before God, and make you just make you almost mess your name up. And the Bible says a good name is important. Hey, cousin Savage. He said, but he was in a stern, asleep on a pillow. So how, when all this hell is breaking loose, whew, you lost a loved one, Jesus is asleep. When you sick in your body, Jesus is asleep. When your children are acting fool, it seems like Jesus is asleep. When your job is not going the way it needs to go, seems like Jesus is asleep. Things are happening in your life. Sometimes it seems like Jesus is over there just snoring away. And you're like, what is wrong with him? Doesn't he see what I'm going through? And that's what these disciples said. Teacher, do you not care that we're perishing? In verse 38, why is this man asleep? This is the King of Kings. This is the man that said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. But yet, and I know he hear these winds. I know he feel that water splash coming all over him, splashing up on this boat. I know he feel stuff turning over on the boat. I know he feel this boat rocking. How is he sleeping through all of this? Do he really care? He said he was the man and the God that was able to calm the storm. He said he was the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. He had all these names he said he was. But yet he has the audacity to sit here on my boat. That's how we think. And let this storm just continue to go. And he sleep. He can't care about me. God must don't care about me. God must have given up on me because he's allowing the storms to continue to come one by one. I get out of this storm, another storm comes. I get out of this, another one comes. This happens, then another one. I get hit on the left, then I get through that, and something comes from the right. I get hit from the front, then something, I get through that, something hits me in the back. And it's just on and on. And life becomes a cycle of storms. And like I said, we got to monitor our own lives and say some of these storms we cause ourselves. God don't have nothing to do with them, neither the devil. It's just our decisions. As simple as that. And but God can fix that too, you know. But we got to understand that. So and just because it seems like Jesus is asleep, he's never asleep. He said, "He that keepeth Israel shall neither sleep nor slumber." God is never asleep on your situation. God's always working stuff out behind the scenes. He's always doing stuff that we don't understand. And we got to take solace and know that as long as Jesus is on this boat, I'm going to be all right. I don't care what happens. I don't care. The winds can be as big as the United States of America. But if I got the King of Kings with me on this boat, I'm going to be all right. Come hell or high water, I'm going to be all right. Because Jesus told me, and God promised, God, Jesus, whatever, he promised me. He promised me that the storm will end with it. He promised me that I got victory over these things. And so I got to trust him. I got to trust his promises. All right. Then he rose and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. So there'll come a moment in your life where when God's taking you to the other side, that he'll begin to speak to your storm. And sometimes we want to speak instantly, but the teacher never speaks. Why I was taught and I learned from some of the leaders that's been in my life. that the teacher never talks during the test. They give you a test, nobody talks. The room is quiet. You hear no speaking, and simply. And sometimes when you go through the test, God won't speak and say anything because He wants to see how you're going to respond. He wants to see if you learned your lesson, if you understand. Not talking about learning your lesson for He can watch you suffer, but I'm talking about He wants to see what you have on the inside of you. When He says what's come out of a man, that's important. He wants to see what's really in you. What's He knows, but He wants to show you what you're really made of. And storms will show you what you're really made of. Difficult moments will show you what you're really made of. And whether you like what it shows you or not, it's the truth. It's our response that shows us the true identity of our character, true identity of who we are as a person. It's how we respond. And I know sometimes we don't always respond right, but whatever you consistently respond and how you consistently respond is an indicator of who you are and how your maturity level and where you are spiritually. And you just got to admit that it's no condemnation. And you just say, I gotta grow in that area. I gotta strengthen myself. I gotta listen to the wisdom that God puts around me and listen to God in these areas. And I gotta strengthen myself and maybe be more bold and more brave in some areas or whatever it may be. But I gotta understand that a change has to become. And so Jesus spoke to a storm. Understand that when God speaks, everything changes. One word can change your life. You can have all kind of stuff going on, and God can just like one bad word, the things people can say can tear you down, and you never forget it, and it changes your life forever. It's things people said to you were young, even when you became an adult, that you never forget, and it's messed up your mindset in your life ever since then. Because one word, good or bad, can change your life. But when God speaks, first of all, when God speaks, it's permanent. When God speaks, it's written in pen. You can't erase it. When God says something, it can't be reversed. And that's why God never speaks unless He means it. That's why God never releases anything unless He wanted to give it to you. Because God is the God that when He starts something, He finishes it. And and when He speaks to your storm, you could be going through hell 300 days out of the year, and it's almost been a whole year. But when God says it's over, it's over. And some of you approaching that season in your life, you've been going through for the last few years, not just because of COVID, but just all kind of stuff. But when God says it's over, it's over. And you'll never see that again. Because when God ends a thing, when He starts a thing, He ends it. And he can start a thing, He can end a thing. God can do what He wants to do. He does it, but He does it because of purpose. He never does it to destroy you. He never does it to pull you down. He never does it to embarrass you. He never does it to make you feel bad about yourself. God is always doing things to build you up. Everything God does is to get you to the other side, the new place that you need to be in, the new position that God wants you to be in. And you gotta be willing to stand the rain. You gotta be able to say, I can stand the rain. Sunny days, everybody loves them. But can you stand the rain? All right, we're at the end. He arose and rebuked the storm, and He said, Peace be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. But He said to them, Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith? And they feared exceedingly and said to one another, Who can this be? Even the wind and the sea obey Him. And so you got to understand when God speaks, the elements of the earth and the people of the earth, everything has to submit to His voice and understand that God's voice and His word. That's why the enemy doesn't want you to hear God. He doesn't want you to hear the voice, because if you get that mute spirit, that spirit like the young boy full of demons, that he always threw himself in the fire, he found himself in trouble all the time because he had a mute spirit. He had a spirit where he couldn't hear God. And that's what God, he don't care about you going to church, but He doesn't want you to hear God. If you don't hear God and you separate yourself from hearing God, you find yourself in the fire, you find yourself in trouble, you find yourself in storms that you don't understand how to get yourself out of. You just find yourself in the most difficult places, and you find yourself repeating same mistakes over and over again. You find yourself going through cycles. So that's why Jesus said, Peter, I pray that your faith fail you not. I don't want your faith to fail you, because you're gonna need it. Because the enemy desires to sift you like wheat. And sometimes the enemy almost gets you. And sometimes he does get you, but God is a restorer. And if we just humble ourselves and say, God, I messed up. God, I'm out of focus. God, I'm doing some things. I'm not necessarily doing living a bad life, but God, I'm not obeying you now. I haven't been focused on you. I made other things that may not be bad, but I made it more important than you. God, forgive me. God, I repent, and I put my eyes back on you. A God that can't disappoint me, a God that won't take me on emotional roller coasters, a God that's steadfast, a God that's faithful to His word, a God that will never let you down. Can you stand the rain? God's looking for some people, not on sunny days, but can you stand the rain? In 2022, storms are not going to end. Storms are going to be here 2022, 23 continuously. But it's how can you stand it? Can you withstand the rain? Can you enjoy the rainy days as well as the sunny days? Can you endure? Can you put a smile on your face when it's thundering and lightning? Because the joy of the Lord is your strength. Because you have something on the inside of you that's greater than anything that the devil can throw at you on the outside. And that's what you got to understand. What's in you is greater than what's on the outside. We got to stop living our lives as Christians, um, um, allowing the elements in the world to dictate our what how we see things, how to allow it to craft our perspective and our attitudes. We got to be different. We got to be different, and it starts with us saying, "I'm gonna withstand the rain. I'm not gonna quit. I'm not gonna give up. In 2021. I'm going through hell right now." And it seems like I've been going through hell for a while, but I'm gonna enter 22 with my hands lifted up and my mouth filled with praise. I'm gonna enter 2022 uh, with the same attitude I've always had. God, I'll bless you at all times. Your praise shall continually be in my mouth. And God, I'm gonna magnify you and give you glory in spite of, because I'm a person that go endure the rain because I love you enough, God. I know sometimes I deny you. Sometimes, God, I'm not faithful to you like I should. But God, I love you enough that I'll never let you go. God, I love you enough that that disappointing you does matter. But God, I love you. And God, I'm going to this new year with a new perspective, a new mind that says, God, I'm gonna stand the rain. God, I'm not gonna allow the elements of the world and the chaos of this world to dictate the trajectory of my life. I'm not gonna allow it to dictate my attitude. I'm not gonna allow it to dictate my mood because I'm a control my own atmosphere. I'm a control my own narrative through the power of God. All right, I'm done, y'all. I hope you got something out of that. Until we meet up next year or through this Christmas holidays, don't allow this holiday, the commercialism of the holidays and all these things to control your mood, but allow the Spirit of God is within you to control you and to dictate the direction you go in your life. Enjoy your family. Know what's important. Put your perspective in place, and don't allow what the world calls important to be. Don't allow them to make your list of priorities. Control your own life. Control your own narrative. Stop letting the devil control your life and control the narrative of your life, because he has no authority, he has no power over your life, and he only comes to kill, steal, and destroy. But God has come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. You guys have a great holiday. Enjoy this last few weeks of this year, and we go get to the other side. We go get to the other side of COVID. We go get to the other side of all the other tragedy. I'm praying for the people in those states with those storms and all the things that's happened over the day. It's so much happening. You can't even keep up with it anymore. But God is still God. Love you guys, and just enjoy your families, and begin to enjoy your life. Make a decision in 2022. I'm going to enjoy my life in spite of. I'm going to enjoy and love myself and love the people that I need that's around me and God has given me in my life. And I'm going to enjoy my life. I can't control what other people do, but I control my own narrative, control my own life. I'm going to stand the rain. All right. God bless you guys. And I'll see you back like the next year. We go take a break for a few weeks during the holidays and enjoy this time. And I might do some pop-ups. I don't know, but but we'll be back full blast starting in January. Y'all enjoy it. Love you guys. Each one of you. Appreciate y'all kicking it with me on Tuesdays and listening to what I got to say because you don't have to. Uh, and again, if I don't see you or talk to you before that time, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and all that good stuff. And I will talk to you guys later. And good night.